Today is yoga for strength. We are going to move focusing on strength and muscles. Strength and muscles helps us feel physically strong and then can help us feel a little stronger to cope with all the other layers, our emotional layers, our thoughts. So we build strength in the physical layer and then hopefully give our body time to feel strong and able to cope with what's going around us. So come on down to your back, start to ground, start to land in the room, bring your feet down, knees up, maybe let your knees soften in. Try to really relax and land on the ground. Feel the ground, feel your hips on the ground, and take stock. What's going on? Ask yourself how you are doing. How are you doing mentally, physically, emotionally? What are the thoughts doing? And then start to generate sacred space. So starting to build up walls around your mat. And the only thing that's going to be present is you and your mat having an experience in this present moment in time. Letting go of everything outside of the mat. Starting to ground on your back. Starting to notice the breath in the present moment. Starting to really land. And a little note about yoga for strength. So the difference between a yoga class and a fitness routine is that we try to go inside and have that mind-body connection. Yes, we're trying to build physical strength, but we're not just flopping our arms and legs in space. We're trying to connect with the muscles, find that mind-body connection, turn the muscle on, and slowly move and breathe with that muscle group, turning on the connection, so that we know which muscles pull the arm this way and pull it back this way. We know the muscles, we can connect with them. We can find the places where we have strength and where we have weaknesses. So trying to give yourself a little promise not to flop around in space. And then when you notice you're flopping around in space, you notice you're sinking into your joints and you're taking a little break and your mind is somewhere else, give yourself a little promise to have permission to take a break. Find the pose that is comforting to you. Maybe it's child's, maybe it's crocodile, maybe you come down to Shavasana for a little bit. Really take permission to take your own breaks. Make this your practice. Reset. Take a little reset. Find your breath. And then move back into your strength. Or settle down and take a full break. So, on our backs, we're going to start with breath. So just starting to really notice your breath and what happens when you start to focus on your breath. Do you start to really draw muscular action and force a slow breath? Maybe even bringing your hands to your torso just under your rib cage. And start to imagine the warmth of your hands could soften any gripping and tension in the torso. Start to slowly draw your breath all the way down towards your hands. Slow, gentle inhales and slow, gentle exhales. And if your mind is particularly running away today and you're having trouble just staying focused on your breath, perhaps even really bringing your mind to focus on your breath by saying, I am breathing in. I am very slowly breathing out. And then if you're using your hands as a guide, bring your hands onto your rib cage and focus on the middle parts of your lungs. And draw your breath into where your hands are, imagining your hands are softening any tension in your rib cage. I am breathing in. I am very slowly breathing out. And then my hands up to just underneath your collarbones, softening any tension resting here. And draw your breath to your hands, nice and slow and gentle. I am breathing in. I am very slowly breathing out. Then let your hands soften to the ground, palms up, shoulders melt into the ground. And take a little side sway, nice and slow with the head, just noticing any tension in the neck and shoulders, starting to connect with your holding patterns, how you feel. Bring your head to neutral and then take a side sway with the knees, letting the hips kind of roll and soften, nice and slow. Feeling any tension in the low back, any tension in the hips. Noticing what is present. And every time the mind draws you away from your mat, just recenter, pulling yourself back to the mat. I am on my mat. I am here now. What are my muscles feeling? Return to the physical body. Well, then we'll start to move through the feet. We're going to work the legs and hips a lot today. So we're going to start to press into the balls of the feet, lift the heels, and then lower the heels and pull the toes towards the shins. Just trying to feel through the legs. Nice and slow. So you're starting to try and feel every movement the muscles make. You're trying to find the muscles in your feet. You're trying to find the muscles in your lower legs. You're trying to notice if you have compensation patterns in your low back, if you're doing a lot of hip tilting, starting to have that mind-body connection. So we're focusing on the legs right now. It's not that the back doing some work is wrong. It's that we want to notice that the back wants to do all the work and try and connect with the muscles of the legs and the feet. So moving through, lifting the feet. And then lift the toes, press into the heels, fire up the legs a little bit, and then pull the toes in towards center and then outside, letting the legs move a little bit, finding that muscle connection. How do your feet move? What muscles make your feet move in these angles? Can you find the muscles on the outside of the lower leg? And you find the muscles on the inside of the lower leg and the inside of the foot. Notice if you're starting to hold your breath or squeeze the muscles in the face, soften the neck. And then lower the feet down and take little taps, little resets. Feel the ground. Think about a toddler when they have a little tantrum. What do? They often tap their feet. It's a very grounding sensation. So tap your feet, let go. Feel the earth below you. Feel it supporting you. And then we're gonna land. Make sure that you're soft and comfortable in your lower back. So maybe pressing the hips down a little bit with the stomach muscles. Starting to fire up the core just to keep you stable. So push the hips down and then a little bit of push of the rib cage down. Arms can be wherever the shoulders are comfortable. We're going to lift and hover the right leg with a bend in the knee. We're going to work through movements of the leg. So we're going to pull the heel of the right foot towards the nose, bringing the knee forward, bring the heel inside and towards the nose, and then press back long, and then pull the heel out to the right. Press long, and then pull the heel in towards the nose. So this is what it looks like if I am just moving through the range of motion, not using my muscles. This is what it looks like if I'm engaged in the core to keep the hips stable, maybe even reminding myself by keeping my hands here. I'm going to pull the heel towards my nose. I'm going to press the ball of the foot away. I'm going to pull the heel towards the right. Press it away. Try to move with your breath. So we're going to inhale as we press. Exhale as we squeeze out. Inhale as we press. Exhale as we squeeze towards the nose. You should be starting to find the muscles of the inner thigh, the muscles of the outer hip, the muscles of the outside of the right leg. Watch for that lower back wanting to do all the work. Engage the core a little. And watch for competing with yourself. Do you have some kind of idea where that foot should be? And are you moving the hip to try and get the foot in that place? Keep the hips stable. Move through the leg. Bring the right leg down and take a little side sway and take time to notice the hip flexor area on the right and left side, the hip, the glute. Notice what's going on, what feels different. Center, ground your hips, ground your rib cage, and then lift the left leg. We're going to inhale as we push the left leg away. Exhale as we squeeze the heel towards the nose. Inhale as we push. Exhale as we squeeze the heel out to the left. Knee comes center. Trying to keep those hips grounded. Trying to keep this movement from below the leg, below the hip. We're using the leg muscles, the foot muscles, inner thigh, outer hip. Trying to keep those hips stable by pressing our stomach muscles down towards the ground. Move with your breath, nice and slow, and with control and with activation of the muscles. Checking in on the face, soften the face. And then bring the left foot down and take a little sway. Notice, check in, reset. And then bring your knees and give yourself a little hug. Squeeze into a little small shape. Squeeze a protective shape. Breathe. And then roll on over to a side and make your way to tabletop. So starting to move and breathe in tabletop. Inhaling tabletop and exhaling hips backwards. Inhale forwards and exhale backwards. Trying to have your own experience in your own body. You can sway the hips more in circles. You can exchange the weight across the arms. You can take the hips left and right. Start to have movement in your body. It is like a little exploration of what is going on today. And then bring it to tabletop. So take your hands to a different position in tabletop than you usually take them. So maybe a little bit wider, maybe even turn the fingertips out, changing your shape a little bit. Get stable, so lift up out of your shoulder, out of the ground, pull yourself up. So start to activate the muscles of the arms, the chest. Pull the sternum back towards the spine. Breathe. And then take the right leg back even with the hip. Activate the right leg. core active balance. Maybe starting to lift to the fingertips of the left hand and then lift out the left arm. Breathe as you balance. Lift up out of the ground. Really activate the muscles. Pull yourself up out of the ground. Bend the back knee, send the heel towards the ceiling, and maybe catch the foot. If you catch the foot, press into the hand with the foot. Lifting up out of the ground. Engage leg, engage core. Breathe. Slowly release the foot if you have it. Back to your balance. And then slowly back to tabletop. Take a little side, reset. And then set up again. Find your base, lift up out of the ground. So sinking into the ground, lifting up. Sinking, just hanging out in the joints. I can hang out here all day. My muscles are not active. Here I'm lifted. Active arms and shoulders. Start to get really strong. Pull up out of the ground, send the right leg back, even with the hip. So try not to open that hip towards the left. Squeeze the core muscles, the chest muscles, arm muscles, and then take a right arm out to balance. Breathe. Notice if you're getting tired and you're slowly sinking into this left shoulder. Pull back, come up higher out of the ground, engage your muscles. Bend the back knee and send the heel to the ceiling, maybe catch the foot. If you catch the foot, press your foot into the hand. Breathe and balance. Slowly release the foot. If you have it, go back to your balance. Active leg still. And then right hand down, left knee down, reset. Find your breath. Bring your hands in towards center and make a little triangle. So index fingers touch, thumbs touch. Lift up out of the ground. So engage again. This is hanging out. This is engaged muscles all the way. My legs are engaged. My whole glute is engaged. Stomach is engaged. Arms and shoulders are engaged. Start to bring the weight a little bit further forward and bend into the elbows. Find the place where you feel strong. So maybe you can come a little bit further down. Maybe you need to be just a teeny bend. Find where you feel strong. And then we're going to move with our breath, little small movements. Take an inhale here. Exhale as you lower and bend the elbows a little more. Inhale, lift up, hollow out the chest. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower. Watch for tension in the face. Watch for tension in the neck. Bring the hands back to neutral. Tabletop. Take a little sway, a little reset. Tuck the toes, hover the knees. So squeeze the muscles of the stomach towards the spine. Activate the legs. So imagine you're squeezing the knees in towards each other and pulling them apart. So imagine that you have a block here and a band. So you're really trying to find all the muscles of the legs. Breathe and hold. If you have sensitive wrists, back off from this 90-degree angle. Make some more space for wrists. See if that helps. So lifting up out of the ground, engaged. Maybe this is where you stay, just challenging yourself to stay strong and connected to your muscles. Or if you're ready, you're going to inhale and then squeeze the right knee towards the right elbow as you exhale. Inhale, hips back. Exhale, left knee to left elbow. Switching sides. Try to be active in the knee, in the leg. You're pulling the knee towards the elbow. Lower the knees. Child's pose and reset. Catch your breath. Return to your mat. Find your breath. And then we're going to go through another exercise. So if that was super challenging for you to stay connected and strong, repeat the last exercise. So repeat the last session. Hovering the knees and staying here. Or inhale as the hips are back. Exhale as we squeeze one knee towards the elbow, nice and slow. If you're ready to go to the next level, you're going to stay strong and active. You're going to bring the right foot across the body and out. Hips back, left foot across the body and out. Nice and slow, active leg, control this movement. And then maybe start to lift up the opposite hand, moving with your breath. Your feet can move in whatever way feels natural for your strength, for your body, as long as you can hold muscular strength in all of the muscles. And watch for buckling into the shoulder. Stay strong, stay connected. And then bring it back to a tabletop. Lower the knees, child's pose. Reset. Come back to tabletop and then send the hips back for down dog. And take whatever movements feel right for you in this moment. We're going to move from it with our breath here. So if you are getting too tired, if you are not retaining that strength, find the stillness of down dog. Breathe and hold. If you are not capable of staying super engaged and strong, go back to inhale tabletop, exhale towards a child's pose. Move with your breath. Connect with your muscles, connect with your physical body. If you're ready to pump it up, we're going to inhale towards a plank pose, high plank. And exhale, down dog. Try to move from the tailbone. So you're squeezing the tailbone forward and squeezing and lifting it back up out of the ground to a down dog shape. If you're doing tabletop, return to tabletop. If you're doing plank down dog, come to a plank. Lengthen, so strong legs lifting up out of the ground. Maybe even bend the knees. You can activate the legs a little more. Shoulders, chest, stomach active, face soft. And then lower the knees and slowly untuck the toes, lower the hips. So slowly come to a little curve in the spine and then lower down, crocodile pose. One hand on top of the other, forehead down. And shimmy the hips. Notice what is present physically. If you're having trouble catching your thoughts, bring your focus entirely to that point where your hand is touching your forehead. Notice what you feel here. And then we're going to move and breathe with the muscles of the back line. So bring your hands wherever they're comfortable. Inhales, we lift the shoulders. Exhales, we lift. Remembering, lift the shoulders, not from the head. So lifting the shoulders, engaging the whole back, trying not to overuse the muscles of the neck, and trying not to overuse the glutes. So we want to try and find all of the muscles of the legs. The glutes are active, but so is the low back. So is the mid back, so is the upper back, and maybe even starting to lift fingers and lift toes. Thinking about lifting, getting long and getting strong. And then place the hands down wide, and this time we're just going to move through range of motion a little softer and a little more fluid. So lift up the shoulders off the ground. Inhale, center. Exhale, lower left shoulder to the center and turn to look at the right foot. Inhale back through center and exhale, turn and look. Start to just flow with the movement of your own shoulders, your upper back. Find some twists and turns as if undoing holding patterns of your day-to-day movement. Move with your breath. Have an internal experience. And then bring it on back to crocodile pose. Shimmy the hips, loosen and soften. Bring the hands beside the shoulders. Tuck the toes, lift the pelvis. So engage the core to lift the pelvis from here. We can have our hands closer or closer to the midline or further apart, noticing where you feel strongest. Start to press into your hands before you lift your body at all. So press into your hands, engage the muscles of the chest. Pulling from the tailbone and pulling from the sternum, draw yourself up out of the ground, nice and slow and with control. Send your hips back, keeping your arms wide. And then let the tension out of your head, still engaged in the arms. Bring it back to a tabletop shape. Tuck the toes and down dog. Bend both knees, engage the core, lift up out of the shoulders. And we're going to lift the right heel towards the glute, and then take the right leg around in a circle and towards the right elbow, and then back. Round in a circle towards the right elbow, and back. Round in a circle towards the right elbow, back, lower the foot. Send the left heel towards the glute. Take the knee around in a circle towards the left elbow and then back. Round, engaging the muscles of the leg. Engaging the glutes. Engaging. Pulling out of the ground. Lower the left foot. Look towards the hands. Step the right foot outside the right hand. Step the left foot outside the left hand. Maybe you hold onto your block here. Feet are wide. We're going to work through the hips. So everybody's favorite pose, Malasana squat. So a lot of us have tightness in the backs of our legs and low back. And we often think the only way to address this is to come into a deep stretch. Start to release and stretch. However, sometimes the tightness is telling us that there is weakness, and often your least favorite pose is the pose you need to do most in yoga. So start to take the hips side to side, move through the legs, feeling your legs, feeling your hips. So, having that mind-body connection, I can sink down all the way down into Malasana, and I can hang out here and nothing is engaged. So keep moving through the hips, through the legs. So I'm hanging out here, nothing is engaged. I'm sinking into the joints. I can hang out here and not put any effort in for a pretty long time. However, we're looking to have that mind-body connection and build strength. So press into the heels a little bit. Lower the hips with the muscles engaged. So pressing through the heels, lower. Pull the knees open with your own muscles and hold where you can find your own strength. If you do not have the strength yet, place a block underneath the hips. Press into the heels. Really press through the heels. Pull up out of the ground. Engage your legs. Find that strength in your muscles. Engaged on the inside and outside of the legs, lower legs, thighs, everything engaged. Engage the core. So you're imagining you're pulling from the tailbone and pulling towards the tailbone and up towards the crown. Hold. If you're challenging, you should be burning by now. Engaged. We're going to move and breathe from here. So as we lift, we're going to press through the legs. Inhale, come up. Exhale, squeeze down. Bring the elbows down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze down. Inhale. Exhale. Everything engaged. Core is engaged. Arms are engaged. Shoulders are engaged. Face is soft. And then inhale all the way up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Step the feet into a mountain pose. And take a little tap of the feet. And connect to the breath. Inhaling up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Bring your prayer to heart center. Take a check-in. Feel the hips, feel the legs. Look for gripping in the toes. Breathe. we are going to bring strength into the legs. So we're going to do some movements that are often, we hang out. So when we do a figure 4 shape in a chair, we often bring the top leg onto the other leg. And this leg is just hanging out because it's caught by the other leg. There's no engagement. So we're going to do some of these shapes without the clutch, without the crutch of the other leg. So challenge yourself. Notice you may not be able to go as far as you normally do. So sink the hips a little. Start to engage. So whole leg is engaged. You can do this by just imagining you're pulling your feet apart and squishing them together. That activates both sides of the legs. Pull as if you're pulling up out of the ground. Soften the tension in the low back. Soften the shoulders. Start to center and balance. Bring the weight onto the right foot and start to bring the left foot forward. So squeezing from the core, bring in those stabilizer muscles. Pull your stomach towards midline. Bring the right foot forward, knee bend. Right leg forward, knee bend. Strong through the legs. You're still pushing out through the ball of the left foot. Remember that movement from before. We're laying on the ground. We are going to squeeze the heel towards the hip. Squeeze it, hold it, hover it. Hold it here. Push the knee down towards the ground. Pull the heel up towards the ceiling. Engage, balance. You take your hands out to help you balance. Breathe, hold, challenge yourself. Slowly turn the heel out. Slowly bring the torso around. Send the heel out behind you. And then land. Land, feet wide, heels in, and connect with your breath. Inhale up. Exhale, sink down to goddess. Inhale up. Exhale, sink down. Hold here. Find a goddess that you're strong in. Hanging out, strong active muscles. Loose, hanging out, active muscles. Notice, have that connection. Find your muscles. We're going to work here with all kinds of shapes of our legs. So move slow, move careful. Start to move through the legs. Take your arms out for balance. Lift and move slowly. So we're going to lift the left heel up and turn the left knee in towards midline. Bring it back. Lift the right heel up. Turn the knee in towards midline. So we're trying to find the muscles that make that movement happen. Nice and slow with control. Try to make each movement a slow, full breath. You can keep your hands on your hips if your arms are getting tired. Take it up. Star pose. Lengthen. Lift up out of the ground. Lift the chest. Breathe. And then hands down. Turn your feet in and then shake the legs. Take that little tapping, shaking. Loosen up the muscles. And then we're going to turn right foot back where we came, facing towards the skinny end of the mat. We're going to bring the weight onto the right leg. Start to really bring the torso over, bring the weight onto the right leg. Maybe you can start to pop up the toes. Try not to kick it up, but pull up. Bend the back leg, bring the heel towards the glute. Slowly Bring the knee around, all the way around. Come to stand. Turn the heel in. Sink the hips. Hover the leg. Pull the knee down. Pull the heel up. Engage, balance, challenge yourself. And then we're going to take the heel back to neutral. Send the knee past the left. Send it a little bit back. And then we're going to challenge ourselves a little more. So if you need to take breaks, find your balance, go ahead. Bring the torso a little further forward. Lengthen through the spine. Pull up towards the crown of the head. We're going to bring that heel towards the right knee. So left heel comes towards the right knee. And then sink down as if we're taking that same one-legged chair shape, except backwards. Hover. Hold. Breathe, lengthen. Slowly send it back through warrior 3. Lower the back toes. High lunge. Bend the back knee, get really stable. So strong in the legs. And then we're going to turn through the heel of the front leg. So take the ball of the foot, take the heel up, come onto the ball of the foot, turn the heel out, turn the heel in. Nice and slow. Small movement, controlled. Breathe. Lower the heel. Bring the weight forward. Step up. Mountain pose. Tap out that right foot. Loosen, soften, tap the leg. And then connect with your breath. Find your center. Catch your thoughts. Return to your mat. Feel your body. Feel your feet. Wiggle your toes. And then we're going to set up to do the other side. So lower the hips, engage the legs, find your base. Weight slightly onto the left foot. Bring the right foot forward. Knee comes up. And then turn the heel towards the left knee. Pull it in, pull the knee down. Engage, sink the hips. Woo. So pull the heel up, push the knee down. Engage and hover. Find some strength. Maybe you're way down here, that's fine. As long as you're feeling the muscle engagement. Hover, hold. Balance and breathe. Slowly turn the heel all the way out towards the right. And we're going to take the heel towards the back, slowly stepping back. Land both feet. So you're going to land. Toes out, heels in, goddess pose. So inhale up, exhale, sink down. Inhale up, exhale, sink down. Hold in your goddess, engaged in your goddess. Work through the heels, slowly lifting one heel at a time. Legs engaged. And then maybe hover both heels. Breathe and balance. Longer in the spine, pull, pull, pull up in the spine, engaged in the legs. All the way through the legs, outside and inside leg engaged. And then lower the heels and shake it out. Turn the feet in, shake the muscles. Turn the left foot towards the skinny end of the mat. Start to bring the weight onto the left leg. So to really squeeze from the tailbone up towards the crown. pulling the hips as if you're pulling the hips in. So find the muscles, squeeze the stomach in towards center and then back towards the spine. Pull the right leg up. Bend the heel, bring it towards the glute. Bend in the left leg. Strong legs, slowly bring the knee around. Oh, come up to stand. Heel comes towards the left. Knee pulls down and hips sink a little. Squeeze and hold. Breathe. Slowly turn the heel out to the right. Take the knee past the left. And then remembering, knee out to the right, heel towards left knee from behind, and sink the hips down like a reverse chair pose. Nothing touching, legs are strong and active without gripping each other. Whew. Find your balance. Engage. Bring the heel back even with the glute. Slowly send it back through warrior three. Lower to a high lunge. Bend the back knee. Strong in your base. Come up onto the ball with the left foot and turn the heel slightly into center, slightly out. So moving the leg just a little, finding the muscles. Find high lunge, regular high lunge. And then frame out the front foot. Press into the hands. Left foot meets right. High plank. Lower the knees. Slowly lower back to child's pose. What can you let go of? So turn the palms up. Imagine bringing all of the excess energy to your hands and offering it out, surrendering it. All the swirling, worried-filled thoughts of things we cannot control, bringing them to our hands and surrendering them up. And then perhaps bringing your hands to prayer. And just noticing physically how this feels. Maybe even bringing the prayer behind your head. Breathe. Slowly come on up to a seated position. So, all the hard work is done. It's really warm in here today. Come to a seat with your feet down on the ground, knees up. Look at your feet. Wiggle your feet, spread your toes. Notice how your feet feel, so wiggle around. Feel your feet, feel your legs. Look at your legs and feet. Pedal them out. Notice how they feel. What feels different? What feels tired? What feels strong? Notice. And then slowly lower down to your back. Give yourself a hug. Squeeze the knees in towards your chest. Little hug. Breathe. And start to soften into the ground. Notice what is different. Take the feet up towards the ceiling. Let the hips be soft and comfortable on the ground, and just move through the legs, experiencing your feet above your heart. starting to let your shoulders melt into the ground. Starting to let go of controlling the breath. Taking ankle circles, spreading the toes, wiggling the toes, pedaling the legs. Whatever feels right in your body right now, have your own experience. Do you have some creaks and cracks you might like to address? And then slowly cross right knee over left and bring the knees in towards the chest. Thinking about piriformis and glute area on the right side. Soften into this space. Breathe. Slowly unravel, switch sides, left knee over right, heels come towards the shoulders, and you're looking for sensation, left hip glute area. Breathe, soften, land on your mat. Slowly unravel and bring the soles of both feet to the ground and just rub your feet on the ground. A little rubs. My mat is a little sticky. It won't let me rub. So if your mat is sticky like mine, just tap your feet. Otherwise, if you can rub your feet, feel sensation in the soles of your feet as if grounding into the ground. Tapping or grounding, feel your feet. Start to loosen through the hips. Loosen through the feet. Start to soften. Let the wiggles from tapping your feet or rubbing your feet start to move through your legs and your hips. Starting to let your shoulders melt a little more to the ground. Checking in on tension in the neck. And then making a decision for where you would like to be for your resting pose. Giving yourself permission to take the shape that your body feels it needs today. If your body feels like it needs to curl up in a ball and take it to fetal position, and that's where you want to rest, go ahead. If you feel that today you need to stretch out, open out, and take up space, take up space. If you feel you need to give yourself support and find support. Find a bolster for underneath your knees. Put your feet on a chair. Find support. And if you are struggling with that concept of finding support, it's another opportunity to learn something. So if you struggle with finding support for your physical body because of some other ideal that's going on, some other social programming that's going on, it's an opportunity to perhaps notice what might be going on in your life. So if you fail to take that block to make the ground closer to you, if you fail to put the block underneath your knees because it makes your back feel more comfortable, fail to put your legs up on your chair because you think you're supposed to finish in a certain shape. Notice if you also fail to give yourself the support you need in other areas of your life. Do you struggle with reaching out for support in other areas when you need help, when you need assistance? And as we question, as we dive inside and ask ourselves questions, we just patiently wait for the answer, trying not to judge it as it comes up, and whatever it is, there's no right or wrong. It's just an answer. It just is what it is. perhaps as we're asking questions throughout our practice, you get the urge to tell me to shut up. So, if you have the urge to tell me to shut up, did you turn off the button? Did you close off your sensation of sound and go inside and tune out my voice? And if you're incapable of doing that, another exploration, another opportunity to learn. I read a quote today that said that people who irritate us are often sent to us as messengers for what might be ready to be addressed in ourselves. I thought that was an amazing, insightful quote. Because in the teachings of yoga, we often say that we see the world through a reflection of ourselves. We cannot see the world as it truly is. We see it as a reflection of our own experiences, our own social programming, our own ego, our own fears, our own worries. All of these cloud our vision and give us perspective that is not quite exactly reality. It is our own unique version of reality. My friend's coming to see me. So as you're starting to let go and really soften into the ground, maybe something came up in practice today. We did some challenging things. Maybe there was something you couldn't do and you were frustrated with. Maybe you were frustrated because you were trying to be at a place, at a goal, at an end line, rather than having an internal experience of building and finding muscles wherever you're at. So how do we know where we're at? We have to get to know ourselves. We have to get to know the lens that we're looking through. All of our layers, our physical layers, our mental layers, our emotional layers, and our spiritual layer. Do we feel deeply connected to our spiritual side? Start to travel in towards your spiritual layer. Imagining traveling deep within your physical body towards the heartbeat. Or you can imagine more visually journeying towards the fire, the little flame inside our heart, our spark of life, our soul, our spirit. Letting go and connecting within. If you have the time to take in your resting clothes, please take as much time as you need. You need to finish up at the 60-minute mark. We are coming up on that mark. So if you're not there already, begin to take gentle movements. Curl up in a ball in a fetal position. Taking one last moment to really be in this sacred space on your mat. Imagining your mat is this big wall of protection. Your mat doesn't care about how you look. Your mat doesn't care where you've been or where you're going. Your mat is just here here to support you. Imagine you could let go of not some memories, not pretending things don't exist, but the burden of perhaps some feelings of shame, some feelings of self-judgment or self-criticism. Imagine these things as an energy that carries weight on your physical body. And then imagine leaving them on the mat. And as you slowly come up to a seated position, imagine feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit softer, a little bit taller. And then bring your hands to prayer heart space and connect with bringing your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart. Taking the opportunity for just this moment, accepting yourself as whole and complete, precisely as you are. May we all spend the day feeling a little bit stronger, a little bit more connected. Thank you for joining us.